Hey guys, before we get into the video, I just wanted to quickly bring attention to my new Twitch page that I have started, which I'll have linked down below, Big Money GTV, that's my gaming nickname there. I recently just started this up since I now have a gaming/streaming PC, and since I'm now living in the city and at school I don't really have enough time to go out and fly, so I have been streaming my gameplay. So if you guys want to help support the channel, I'd really appreciate if you went over there and followed, and feel free to ask any quad related questions. And yeah, hope to see you there so we can hang out. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, so today we're going to be checking out the FlyWoo Long Range Explorer, which is a bind and fly 4-inch long range quad. Now, just in case you are familiar with Dave C, this is very, very similar, if not the exact same design that he has come up with, which is why he is credited on this build. Actually, on the motors here, I can get the focus in the light. You can see it says Dave C FPV. So FlyWoo did not just rip this from him, as well as on the top plate, you can see his name there. So this was done in collaboration with him. So the idea of the quad here is to get a long flight time out of a small quad that you can fly for very long amounts of times, as well as it being completely legal, since with an 850 milliamp hour 4S battery, it is about 235 grams on my scale. So that is under the 250 gram limit that some countries have, so that is really good. Just going over the parts, you can see the frame is a custom dead cat style frame, which is pretty cool. The purpose of a dead cat is to get the front props back away from the camera so they're not in. That is because they do offer a DJI option, which is like the RCAddict Vista, and I've seen some other reviews that have that version, and it looks extremely fantastic. So if you do have DJI goggles, I would highly recommend getting that version. But since I don't have any on me currently, I just went with the analog, which comes with a RunCam Nano 2. The motors are FlyWoo's NIN 1404 2750 kV. The props are the Gemfan 4024 dual blades here. In the center, we have a FlyWoo stack, which is a 16x16 ESC flight controller, and then the VTX actually comes in the back here. You can see that. I think it goes up to 200 milliwatts. It might actually go higher. I'll actually have to check the site once this goes live. If you look underneath, you can see we have 16x16 and 20x20 mounting holes, which is pretty nice. The included stack is 16x16. And up front, you have a mount for the Crossfire Immortal T, which I have gone with. However, they do offer several other receiver options. And in the back, you can see the antenna is propped up in this long extendo tube, which is pretty cool, just to help get more range. And then in the back, we have our little GPS module, which is a GM8 Mini V1.0 by FlyWoo, as well as they have their little lost alarm buzzer. This is pretty cool. It has its own tiny little internal battery, if you can see that there. So the idea is if you crash and the battery is unplugged, I think this will beep for about 5 hours, and it charges, it handles everything when you plug the main battery in, so you don't have to worry about that battery going dead. And when you unplug the battery after you're done flying, hopefully you didn't crash, all you have to do is press and hold the little button under here for about 2 seconds, and it'll stop the beeper, so you don't have to worry about being annoyed by that. The frame overall is pretty nice. The carbon is all chamfered, and I believe it is 3mm thick. I see absolutely no problems here. It's not meant to be a super durable race frame, but more as very, very light. Up in the front, the variable camera mount has a lot of different mounting options, as well as you can go very, very low on the camera tilt, as well as high as you want. So that is great, because I know if you're going to be filming something with the RCAddict Vista, you probably want about 10-degree camera angle. So let's just go ahead and start up some of the flight footage here. Once again, I am using the analog version, so this is the RunCam Nano 2 you're looking at. It was sunset when I was flying it here in the park. You can see all the GPS data on the screen. I did have to wait about 8 to 10 minutes, or maybe it was just 6 minutes. It felt like a long time for the GPS satellites to pick up from the rear module here. I know that's pretty typical of GPS. I'm not sure how to speed up that. If it's just cheaper modules take longer, but once I gave it a while to just sit, it did pick up 12 GPS, and initially the barometer and everything on the altitude and the home distance seemed very, very accurate actually. I've always been pretty skeptical of GPS on lower end models outside of actual DJI Phantoms or Mavics, but I was very surprised. I was just flying around in the beginning here testing out the home direction, and it seemed to be working quite well. Then I go up a little bit higher to test out the altitude. And it seems like that all works pretty fine. It seemed reasonable within the numbers. It does give you a warning at 100 meters, which is pretty nice. I do have to mention though, once I did sort of like split S dives, just flying a little bit more aggressively, the barometer did kind of mess up. It said I was at like -60 meters. It bounced out a little bit, but I don't think it ever got quite back to
fully correct. So if you are going to be relying on the barometer, I would make very gradual elevation changes to help it out there. In terms of the overall flying performance, it definitely is not a powerhouse. I'll keep it, my battery isn't the best. It's a pretty old battery, pretty used. It does have some good power in it, and it can definitely pull out of dive just because how light it is, but you're not going to be winning any races this thing. But if you're buying this for races, I don't know what you're doing. But the power overall for a long range quad was very satisfactory, and the noise was not bad at all on these 4-inch dual blade props. It is definitely not as annoying as some quads are. In terms of video, I was running it on the max, which I think is 200 milliwatts. Once again, I'll have to check the site. I'll put it on screen if it is higher. I didn't have any video problems here flying this field. I only flew about maybe a quarter mile away. But my worst video did come, I was behind some trees with my omnidirectional. So that's that. I'm not too sure on the quality of this antenna. I've never seen this antenna before, and I haven't taken it apart. But it is just a UFL connection, so you could very easily just swap in a higher quality antenna like a Video Aero Systems or anything else you want, TBS in there, and you'd be good to go. The battery uses an XT30, which is very nice. You're not going to be needing an XT60 on this low power draw 4-inch setup. Now they claim 18 minutes of flight time, and I have seen like 15 minutes plus. I think even one person reported almost 30 minutes. However, they were probably using like a 1300 for us. I was just using a little 850, which is what I'd recommend. You're going to get at least 10 minutes off this thing if you're flying not too crazy. But I did have to end my flight short here because someone from the park came over, and you know, the usual spiel. They told me to leave. They told me to work here. I don't believe them. And I probably could have used the fact that this is 230 grams. You can't tell me what to do. But, you know, I just complied. I'll be nice. I'd already flown it for a little bit, so I guess I'll just have to go somewhere else. But yeah, overall, there's not too much else to say about this thing. I don't want to make this review too long, like 30 minutes. I just want to keep it nice and short. Overall, I really like the quad. The build quality is really nice, and I think I saw it on the site. This is only like $150 or something for the analog version. That is crazy. The parts, I assume the parts alone would be like $200 for this, but a pre-built $150 quad, all you have to do is add your battery. I think the receiver might be the extra cost as well there, though. But I think the Vista version is also $300, but still, very good price overall. Oh, one quick thing I forgot to mention. I don't know if this was just my kit or not. It did come with two spare arms, as well as I think there were 2 stabilizers between the arms. However, I didn't get enough screws for the props. I got a bunch of smaller screws that won't fit all the way down through the hub. I only had 4 screws that I could use, so I did have to go and get some other little 1.5 millimeter screws. I'm not sure if that's all of them or if that was just a mistake, but just in case, I would order a set of like 8 M1.5 8mm screws just in case for the props, assuming you don't get any. But that was probably just on my kit. But yep, overall, nothing to complain about. I really like this quad, and because it's so light and so stealthy, I think this will probably be one of my main just chilling quads. Obviously, just to pull us out at a race or a location where flying a 5-inch isn't really appropriate, I think is the exact market where this is intended for. And of course, with crossfire and that long flight time, you could fly quite a distance away. And then you have all the GPS functions set up. Wasn't able to test the return to home, but with the home arrow, the arrow on screen, it did look very accurate. And I have seen the other reviews that have been posted of this. It looks pretty good. Maybe not as good as a Mavic, obviously, but enough to get it back within 20 feet of yourself at least. And then you can either fly it back FPV, or if something happens with your video, you could easily fly it line of sight back from there. But yeah, nothing much else to say. Really like this quad. There'll be a link down in the description below if you're interested. Once again, from the first 72 hours this being launched, it'll actually be 8% off. You don't need any coupon code for that. It'll just be cheaper then, and then the price will go back up. I think it's a very reasonable price for what you're getting here at what they've listed it at. So yep, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.